Friends, we are going to study William Shakespeare's sonnet entitled Remembrance. This is sonnet number 30. So I recite the first four lines, that is the first stanza, to you, and then I will explain the first four lines, the first stanza to you. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past. I sigh the lack of many a things I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought. Sessions means mood, and sweet silent thought. That is, the poet remembers, the poet recollects the happy things, the happy memories of the past. So, when the poet is in a mood, to remember or recall the happy memories of the past, I summon up. Summon up means invoke the things which are lying in his memory. The poet calls them. He remembers the things of past, the happy moments of past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought. But whenever he thinks of the happy memories of the past, he weeps, he cries. Sigh means weep, cry, and lack means not having, means he does not have. Many a thing I sought. Sought is second form of seek, which means wanted. The poet wanted so many things in his life, but he did not get them. So when he is in a happy mood, when he is in a mood of remembering the things of past, the happy things of past, he starts remembering those happy things, but then he regrets the things which he did not get in his life or which he wanted in his life. And with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. And so the sorrows are old, means something he wanted in his in his earlier life, in his youthful days, and he did not get those things. So for those things he feels sorry even now at this late age. I recite the second stanza for you. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's deathless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled vow, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Now, the the fifth line here, the first line of this stanza, second stanza. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow? This line says that his eye is unused to flow. Flow means weep, cry. Means the poet has generally been happy and he does not cry. And this, then can I drown an eye? This is a rhetoric. Rhetoric is something which you emphasize and ask a question. So that is called rhetoric. And this is a hyperbole also. This is an exaggeration also. Drown an eye means, shall I weep so much that my eye drowns in the tears? Means the water flowing out of the eyes is so much that the eye drowns. Means weeping too much and too much. For precious friends, second line of this stanza, for precious friends hid in death's dateless night. And why is the poet crying? Why is he weeping? He is weeping for his valuable friends who are now hidden in the dateless night of death, means who are not living now. The poet has lost many friends, and therefore he wants to weep endlessly for those friends, and weep afresh. And weep afresh means when the friend had died, the poet had wept. But now, because he is remembering the happy memories, the happy time which he spent in the company of his friend, so Now he is missing his friend and he starts weeping again. So weep afresh. Love's long since cancelled woes. Long since cancelled woes means the sorrow. Woe means sorrow. So these sorrows were cancelled, means forgotten long ago. Some friend had died maybe say 30 years ago, and now he had almost forgotten him. But when he thinks of the happy moments he had with his friend in his company, then now he is crying again fresh for the death that friend who had died 30 years ago. And mourn means again weep, cry. Mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Vanished means disappeared. The sights, the company of friends, which is not there with him, with the poet. Now that sight has vanished. And so he is weeping, crying for the loss of those friends whom he had lost years ago. Now I continue with the third stanza. I recite the third stanza for you. Then can I grieve at grievances forgone, and heavily from vow to vow tell over the sad account of forebemoaned moan, which I new pay as if not paid before. Now, again, this ninth line means the first line of the third stanza is a rhetoric. Then the poet is asking a question to audience or to you or to himself. Then can I grieve at grievances? Grievances means sorrows, foregone means past. Can I cry at the past sorrows? And heavily means with a heavy heart, from woe to woe tell over. And shall I tell you the stories of one sorrow, another sorrow, and then another sorrow? So shall I keep on telling you the stories of all my sorrows, how the poet lost so many friends. The sad account means the sad description, the sad story of forebemoaned mourn. Mourn means sorrow, means his friend had died and he had wept for him, he had mourned for him, and so he had already mourned for those friends. Now shall he keep on crying for those friends now who had died long ago and now they are almost forgotten, which I knew pay as if not paid before. So sorrow is something, mourn is something which he is paying in the memory of his friend, and his friends had died years ago and now he is again mourning, again paying for the death of those friends as if he had not mourned for them, as if he had not grieved for the death of those friends. So now the last two lines, which are called the couplet, I recite these two lines. But if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. But if the while means while I am regretting, while I am grieving at the death of my friends who had died long ago, if at that time, during that time, I think on thee, means you are a very special friend, you are a very important friend. I think on thee means if I think of you, dear friend, all losses are restored. Means all the friends which I lost, now they come back. Restore means they come back. That loss is not loss, and sorrows end. So when I think of you, my dear friend, I forget all the sorrows. I forget losing so many friends. Only if I think of you, I have lost so many friends, but when I think of you, I think I have not lost anything, because you are such a dear friend, you are such a precious friend, and you are my dearest friend. This is what the poet is saying. Now, in the previous lecture also, we had talked about the rhyming scheme of William Shakespeare. As I told you, a sonnet is a lyric poem containing 14 lines. I told you in my last sonnet that the rhyming scheme is A B, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, and GG. Now, in some other lecture, we shall discuss in detail what is the Shakespearean sonnet. First of all, we will talk about the sonnet in general, and then we will see how many other types of sonnets are there. But this particular type of sonnet was perfected by William Shakespeare, and therefore this is called the sonnet. Thank you, friends.